Update. I, 29 female, spoke to my parents who ghosted me 5 years ago after my wedding and have now reached out. Original story. My husband, 30 male, used to be my boss. About 9 years ago, I started working as his assistant. We spent about 2.5 years ignoring our mutual attraction until we gave in. We then went to HR, who reassigned me, and the whole thing was strictly above board from the time we began dating. I got pregnant about a year later, and my husband and I decided to just get married. While we'd only really been dating for about 1.5 years, we knew each other completely, loved each other, lived together, and there was a baby on the way. We knew how it would look, but I had to leave the company anyway due to problems with my new boss, so we didn't anticipate this causing any issues, except with my parents. They, 62 male/57 female, have always been overprotective, so I knew they wouldn't like me dating my boss, and hadn't told them. But I had to tell them if I wanted them at my wedding. We decided to be mostly honest with them about how it was strictly professional until it wasn't, how the second it got unprofessional we went to HR, how he had never taken advantage of me, but now we wanted to get married, and we wanted them there. We did not mention the baby because I felt that giving them that information in addition to the rest all at once would just break them. I was only about 4 months along when the wedding happened, so the bump was easily hidden by a flowy dress. The wedding itself went off without a hitch, and apart from my mother pulling me into the bathroom shortly before the ceremony to ask if I was sure about this, which I said I was, my parents seemed to take it well. The ceremony and reception were at 2 different venues, and we had to travel from one to the other, and my parents never arrived at the reception. I called them and got ignored, and then my brother called them and they told him that they were going home. I don't remember the exact reason they gave, but it amounted to them being tired and uncomfortable. I tried contacting them after the wedding, but found that I was blocked on everything except email, which I used to send them a long letter essentially saying that I'm an adult who made an adult choice, but I hope they can respect that. 5 years later, I have not heard from my parents since my wedding. My husband and I are not big in social media in general, but I recently posted something for our 5th anniversary in which I mentioned our 2 kids and 3rd on the way. Within a month of making this post, my parents left a voicemail saying they saw the post, and having had no idea that they had grandchildren previously, now want to meet them. I haven't responded, and there have been a few follow-ups since, then asking why I haven't. I don't know what to do, but my gut instinct is that 5 years is too long, and it's about the kids, not about them respecting my choices or relationship. However, I can't help but feel that I am being unfair, and my brother agrees, because I told them in my mail that if they could learn to respect my choice in my marriage eventually, then we could talk. And now I'm retroactively applying a time limit. Edit. Can't find a way to work this inorganically, but my husband is not white. I am, as are my parents. I don't think this is a race thing or that my parents are racist, and neither does my husband. And we don't understand why they would want to meet our mixed-race children if they were, but this element is still gnawing at me. Should I reach out to them? If I did, how would we go about rebuilding the relationship? Now for the top advice before reading the update. How could you ever trust them not to just abandon your kids if they did something unauthorized? They've shown that they aren't willing to be loving. You can't trust people who don't know how to love. It's not even that they're not loving, but that their love is warped and conditional. It's based on whether Opie's actions aligned with her worldview, something I'm sure Opie was aware of as she lived with them for a number of years. Opie knew on some level that her parents wouldn't be happy or approve of her relationship. There was a lot of pretense built around that. It's like a rug that can't be pulled out from under you if they don't agree with what you're doing. That's not real love. That's control. You've buried the lead in your comments here. The piece of the missing puzzle is being named after your older sister who died before you were born. It sounds like you were a replacement child and they dumped you because you were no longer doing what they wanted. Especially with the added info of them talking a lot about your wedding day. They imagined your life a lot. It's honestly nothing to do with your husband being your boss in my opinion, and just to do with the fact it's not what they imagined for you. The fact they want to show up now that they realized there is another little girl apparently with the same name is a bit of a red flag. You were put in an impossible situation, born to replace a person that only existed for a brief period. She always did as she was told. She always loved your parents first, etc., etc. Be careful. Your parents aren't emotionally safe. This is all probably unconscious reaction to deep grief, mixed with whatever personality traits. Ghosting you for 5 years is messed up. They're basically saying they would have never spoken to you ever again were it not for your kids. Do you think you'll regret not reaching out? I would think it's 100% up to them to rebuild their relationship with you, and you decide if it's enough. I don't know if I would trust them with their children. They walked away from their daughter so easily. I can see them doing it to the kids as well if things don't go their way, and they're likely to be hurt. I think there is potential for regret with both options. If I don't reach out, then I'll always wonder what could have been. If I do reach out, then they could be amazing. Say and do all the right things, and my life will be better for it. But they could also be terrible to my family and an all-around harmful presence in our lives. And like you said, they could walk away from the kids. And if the kids grow to love them before they walk away, it'll break their heart to see them go. And now for the update. I asked to talk yesterday. We were on Zoom within an hour. It was my parents and me and my husband. They asked to see the kids, and I said they could see them eventually, depending on them earning our trust and convincing us they were going to be positive additions to the kids' lives. They asked to start by reading me a letter that they claimed to have written on my wedding day. It said that they were uncomfortable with me marrying my former boss, as they thought he took advantage of me. So they left between the wedding and reception to avoid a scene, but they wanted me to know they were here for me despite their issues with him. They added that they would have sent this to me the morning after my wedding. Then I sent my email about them needing to respect my choices, and they were so ashamed they couldn't bring themselves to send theirs. See, my anniversary post made them realize how much they've missed in 5 years, and they really don't want to miss anymore. I had some questions, like what the big deal was with me marrying my former boss, and they said that it just wasn't what they had in mind for my wedding and my future spouse. I asked why they even came to the wedding at all if they didn't support the marriage, and my dad responded that he wanted to walk his daughter down the aisle, as it was the only chance he'd get. The way it was phrased implied that they had intentionally only come to the wedding so he could give me away. I'd always planned to leave halfway, and because he said my daughter and didn't talk to me directly, it was pretty clear he was thinking about my older sister who passed away. My husband caught that too, and said that if they were talking about me, they should address me directly. Then added that if they had planned to leave, they should have told us, as we wouldn't have invited them. And the fact that they waited 5 years to reach out was going to take more reasons than shame. Because as a father, he didn't understand how they could ignore their daughter for years, or only get back in touch when we had kids. My dad snapped that it wasn't going to take this from a cootie, a slur meaning dark-skinned. My mother immediately tried to run damage control, but I ended a call. They have since messaged me several times trying to explain that calling my husband a racial slur wasn't indicative of a racist attitude, and he wouldn't have said that in front of the kids, so they should still get to meet them. I've spent 5 years wondering how they were so offended by me marrying my boss that it earned no contact for half a decade. Turns out they're just that kind of people. It's almost nice to find out. If it was just the boss thing, I would have sympathy for them and we might even be able to reconcile. But with this, it's now just a question of if I'm going to knowingly expose my mixed-race children to a couple of racists, which I'm obviously not going to do. Calling someone using a racial slur out of sudden anger most definitely means they have racist attitude. Sometimes we need to cut out people from our lives to protect who we are. This time you are doing that and protecting your family. They have shown who they are, and cutting them out can mean cutting out the toxicity. Yes, forgiveness is something we should all strive for, but sometimes we just don't need that negativity around us. Wish you the best. They are insisting they aren't. But even in our worst fights, my husband and I have never called each other slurs. And the only people who have ever called my husband slurs have been racist. What my husband was saying wasn't wrong either, or unfair. Half of it was things I had told him that I wanted to say to them, but had gotten too emotional to actually say it. I think I'm quite a forgiving person, but there is no forgiveness to be had here. If your parents said that they wouldn't say that slur in front of your kids, then they know it is wrong and shouldn't have said it at all. You have done the right thing. Yeah, we're racist, but we will hide it in front of the kids. You are people of color themselves. Get out of here. Good on you, Opie. Well, that closes that door once and for all. In a way, it must be a relief, ending the uncertainty. Hope can be more of a burden than giving up sometimes. Racist, and further evidence they were just using you as a dad-daughter version 2, and were planning your kids to be version 3. Now you can move on with your life, minus any guilt, and minus 2 millstones. It is. I've spent 5 years wondering what I did wrong, and why an HR problem was enough to lose my parents' love. Turns out there's nothing I could have done because it wasn't my fault, nor my husband's. It's now just a question of if I'm going to knowingly expose my mixed-race children to a couple of racists, which I'm obviously not going to do. Nothing more to be said, really. Other than why are they still able to message you? Give them one last warning that any further contact will be treated as harassment. Block, and follow through on protecting yourself and your family if they still refuse to accept that your word is final. We still have line of communication through emails, but I'm going to block that now. We're blocked on everything else, though I am expecting them to unblock me and start messaging me there once emails are closed. But I'll block them on those other platforms too. Now for the last story. Update. My entire family despises my fiancé and I have to choose between them and her. Is she manipulating me and is there something I'm not seeing? Original story. I met my fiancé when I was at a very low point in my life. We instantly clicked and had a whirlwind romance, and I proposed after 3 months and we are now engaged. I feel like my family has never approved of her, or particularly liked her. They are all very educated and work professional jobs, while she's a college dropout who works as a hostess. She's starting a venture of her own, and I'm funding it for her. The problem started with my sister-in-law and my brother. They told me that 3 months was too quick, and that I should date her for longer. They also implied that she's a gold digger. They never used the term. They said this because she doesn't financially contribute. My fiancé isn't particularly fond of my sister-in-law, as sister-in-law is very rich and successful, and fiancé thinks that she is snobbish. The problem escalated when there was a family wedding and my fiancé wasn't invited. She is of a different race, so she accused my family of being racist and said this to my parents' face. My parents never expressed an opinion about her, but that was their ticking point. My sister-in-law and brother added to this and told them about my financial contributions to her ventures and other details about her relationship. My parents said that I am making the wrong decision. I told my fiancé this, and she lashed out. She messaged my sister-in-law and told her that she's a horrible person for trying to wreck our relationship. My sister-in-law once again communicated this to my parents, and they have refused to pay for and attend the wedding. My fiancé says that her family will accept me with open arms, and that we can get married in City Hall. She accused my parents of being elitists, and said that they only like my sister-in-law because she's educated and of the same race. I love my fiancé, but I feel like she's trying to manipulate me into cutting all ties. I don't know what to do, and I don't want to reach a point of no return with my family. Any advice will be appreciated. And now for the top advice before reading the update. 3 months and you're funding a business startup for her? And engaged? Holy cow, that's fast track. What's the rush? Without knowing any other details, I'm on your parents' side with this one. 3 months is a blink of an eye. Her messaging your sister-in-law like that is a huge red flag as well. You haven't even met her family and she's asking you to cut yours off? Dude. If I ever bring up the fast track part, she accuses me of having second thoughts. And I was pretty sure she was the one until now, so I'll let it go. She said that I cannot meet her family because of COVID. They live across the country, even though we are all vaccinated and have traveled. Now that I think of it, it is quite strange. If I ever bring up the fast track part, she accuses me of having second thoughts. Run. What do you expect if you engage with someone after 3 months? You just can't know her enough. Then you pay for everything and she wants to cut you off your family to control you better. If you really want to stay with this woman, you must make clear that you will wait with marriage at least till spring 2023 and that you want a prenup. Don't give in when she talks about trust and that you think that the relationship doesn't work out. That is guilt-tripping and manipulation. Take your time to learn everything about her in every situation. For a few months or a year, a person can fake a lot. The longer you are together, the more of her true self will come to light. And don't give her too much money, don't let her have access to your bank account. Okay, I'm able to see all the red flags as I'm typing these comments out, but she told me that getting your prenup is against her culture. I hadn't even brought it up. This was unsolicited. Bro, she may be your fiancé, but you're just her piggy bank. Solely judging off of what's in this post, end this relationship ASAP and make amends with your family. And now for the update. Well, we broke up. A lot of the comments echoed what my family was saying, but the outside perspective drilled it into my head. I have a good relationship with my parents, and my sister-in-law is actually one of my best friends. Just to clarify from the previous post, I've never thought they were racist or snobbish. It was an idea my ex was forcing into my head. The breakup was very messy. I told her that I thought we were going too fast and that it wasn't working out, and she began crying and implied that she would end herself. I could see the manipulation clearly for the first time, and I just told her that it is above my pay grade and that she should seek professional help for this. Now, for all the money I invested in her business, well, it was a mistake, and I'm just considering it a sunk cost. It did hurt my pockets, but recovering it will just tangle more webs. Thank you so much for all the advice. It helps me avoid a grave mistake. And I just told her that it is above my pay grade. Damn, son, that's savage, but I like it. You didn't just dodge a bullet here, mate. You dodged 30 years of marital tyranny. If the price of that lesson was a few grand in her bank, I'd say that was well worth it. In the future, take it slow and introduce your family to the new missus. You probably already know that, lol. Good luck, mate. And one last tip from Winston Churchill, don't stick your member in crazy. Yep, I had an extra to pull that card on me when I was breaking up with her. And she knew full well I had lost my best friend to self-harm when I was younger. I wish I'd had the savage eloquence, but instead I just told her to immediately get the hell out of my house. When I caught my husband cheating and filed for divorce, he threatened to end himself. I told him to go right ahead. Please stay single for a while and maybe invest in therapy. Rushing into an engagement at 3 months while throwing down major fund was a severe lapse in judgment and self-respect. I think you need time by yourself to analyze why you let yourself get taken advantage of. I'm glad you're out, but wow. You paid a very hefty fine to learn a lesson. I highly suggest you seek personal therapy. I don't mean this to be offensive, but most people would have seen this as a really alarming behavior on both sides. You clearly got stuff to work through mentally. It's okay though. Good job on telling her that. Hopefully you blocked her. If you haven't, this is your reminder to do so now. Real talk though, imagine how hefty of a fine it would have been if they got married. $5 betting on her contacting you soon that she's pregnant with your kid. It will not be your kid even if pregnancy will be real.
Update. Am I the a-hole for finding someone else when wife opened our relationship? Original post. I, 29 male, and my wife, 30 female, have been together for 7 years and married for 4. Last year, she came up with the idea of open relationship to try out new things. I said it's not something comfortable for me and would like to stay monogamous. It felt weird because it came out of nowhere. We were doing good and planning to build a family together. After my reply, she insisted a lot. So, in the end, I decided to give it a try. Here are the boundaries she set. You should always prioritize the spouse instead of the other partner. Always use protection. Do not bring the partner to the shared house. Do not form overly emotional connections. I told her I am not sure if I can do some of these things. I am an emotional person, though I love the physical part too. She said it's okay, I will be able to do it. And it's hard for men to form emotional relationships in such cases anyways. She found a partner quickly and easily. My wife was my first relationship partner, so I was not confident in myself. I did not have great chances when I was in my 20s. Eventually, after clearing out most of my work, I decided to try finding a partner in my spare time. Surprisingly, I was flocked with interest from younger or around my age women. I knew maturing and aging did a great job for me, but not to this extent. I started talking to multiple people, but decided to go ahead with only one of them. When I shared this information with my wife, she seemed surprised but congratulated me. She said she is shocked how beautiful this woman is, and I was able to get her. It has been 10 months since finding a partner, but the more I got to know them and spent time with them, we formed an emotional connection together. This woman is aware of my situation and respects my boundaries. I realized I lost emotional and physical connection with my wife over time. I know one of the boundaries were about emotional connections and prioritizing the spouse, but I told her I was not sure if I could comply with some of these. I had a difficult talk with my wife last week about my situation. She immediately offered closing the relationship and going to couples counseling, but I am not interested, to be honest. She feels no different than a friend for me, and I am afraid I built resentment for her due to the open relationship situation. I told her it would just extend the misery for me and I would like to have a divorce. She flipped and cried, saying I am throwing everything away just for a fling. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. A story as old as time. Spouse A wants to open relationship. Spouse B is hesitant, but ultimately agrees. Spouse A ends up surprised and upset that spouse B found someone, or many someones, to be with. Spouse A regrets decision. She dug her own grave here. It's even worse in a way. Spouse A also clearly thought spouse B would not stand much chance with anyone else, much less anyone seemingly very attractive, effectively getting a hall pass without having to grant the same, and without calling it that. Well, that backfired. That's what I took from it too. The wife was both surprised that OP found someone, and then surprised again at how beautiful the woman was. I don't think his wife ever expected OP to do anything with the open part of their relationship, and she definitely didn't seem to have considered how she would feel about it if he did have a partner, even if the boundaries on the arrangement hadn't slipped. OP not the a-hole. You didn't throw everything away for a fling. That sounds like projection on your wife's behalf, who seemed to have someone lined up very quickly. Even if you didn't realize, your feelings for your wife started fading the minute she asked to open the relationship. Now you found someone better and who you have stronger feelings for. When you get divorced, make sure you let her know this happened because of her insistence to open your marriage. Hope the other guy was worth it. Betcha he wasn't. She wouldn't be screaming and crying over the divorce if he were. This could have been written by a mate of ours, though it then hit divorce and he remarried to the new partner. Shocker. Happened to a friend of mine. An ex-wife got upset after her short fling ended with a guy, but his kept going and asked for a divorce over it. Yet my friend is still with a new girl, married and a kid. Now for the update. It will be short update. I gave her the divorce papers my lawyer drafted this week, and it did not go well. She refused separating amicably and said she'll make the process as painful as possible for me. She left the house after taking her important belongings, and I have no idea where she is. My lawyer told me it would take about 8 to 9 months at best for that kind of case to be concluded. He also told me there would be no problem of seeing each other after, as divorce process started. However, we decided to limit the physical contact with the other woman for now, and she agreed it would be best for a smoother divorce process. House is my premarital asset, and only shared or marital assets we have are joint saving and investment accounts. We also have our own accounts and investment accounts, which is subjected to assets sharing. I will be busy handling divorce and conflicts for the rest of the year. What a headache, especially when we could separate amicably by dividing the assets. That is all the update. A busy year awaits me, but I am sure I will be fine. As for my relationship with the other woman, there is no guarantee it'll continue, but you do not know if you do not try. Last year, she came up with the idea of open relationship to try out new things. Well, that's as far as I need to read. I know what's happening next. She found a partner quickly and easily, equals she already had a dude she was cheating with. And she was shocked that OP found someone. Bet she wasn't expecting that. I'm always a little surprised by this reaction. I can't believe that my spouse, who I found worthwhile to marry and supposedly love, was able to find someone else who could be interested in them. Seriously, I just assume people are attracted to my husband because why wouldn't they be? He's handsome, smart, funny, and charming. I know I'm lucky to have him. Why wouldn't someone else want a man as awesome as him? I don't understand these people who open their relationship and then are all shocked Pikachu face when their spouse gets a partner. Like, you married them. Surely they, at the very least, should think their spouse attractive, right? Right? 99% of the time when a partner drops opening the relationship out of nowhere, it's for one of two reasons. They already have their eye on someone else and want permission to sleep with them. They've started cheating and need a way to cover it up. In either case, the relationship is usually doomed as soon as the words come out of their mouth. I think there's also a third reason. They're getting ready to leave the relationship anyway and want to scope out their options before blowing up their current relationship. This is sometimes the case, but uncommon enough. I'd put it in the 1% set of reasons. Most of the time, if someone is already that done with a relationship, they won't go through the trouble and potential drama of opening the relationship. They'll already be looking at other options and maybe cheat to try them out, then simply bail once they find one. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not chipping in for a Gucci bag or a €3,000 birthday dinner I didn't plan? I, 29 female, and my husband, 35 male, are part of a close group of friends. We're all in our late 20s to mid-30s. Most of us are married or in serious relationships, and we usually celebrate birthdays together. The usual setup has always been that the birthday person hosts and pays for everyone. But about a year ago, this weird new tradition started. For each birthday, someone opens a WhatsApp group and says, "Let's all chip in for this really expensive gift." We're talking about things like Hermes flip-flops, Formula One tickets, Gucci bags. It's all very public and a bit uncomfortable to say no. My husband and I have always gone along with it, even though it's felt a bit much at times. For example, we paid around €300 towards a €1,500 Formula One ticket for my husband's best friend. Let's call him Tom. At the time it felt okay, but now things are different. We're already parents to one child, we're trying for a second, and we just opened a new business, which we fully funded from our own savings. Everyone in the group knows this, including Tom. We're doing fine financially, but we're definitely being more careful. These expensive group gifts are not something we feel comfortable doing anymore. A few weeks ago, it was my husband's birthday. One of the friends asked if I was going to open a WhatsApp group for a gift. I said no, my husband didn't want anything. We hosted everyone for a pool party, paid for everything ourselves, and we're happy to do it. For the record, Tom gave my husband a nice bottle of tequila worth around €100. We appreciated it. I'm not complaining at all. I've never judged or compared gifts, and I've been genuinely grateful for every single one, no matter the price. 2 weeks later, it was Tom's girlfriend's birthday. He opened a group chat and said she would like a Gucci bag. I told my husband I didn't want to participate in this one. He agreed. We didn't reply in the group, but we bought her a €120 massage voucher as a gift. Her birthday was held at a really fancy and expensive beach restaurant. We went, enjoyed the event, had fun, and made sure the birthday girl had a blast. A few days later, Tom wrote in the group that the bill was €3,000 and said that if anyone would like to contribute, they could. I told my husband I didn't want to chip in. We didn't choose the place, we gave her a gift. And again, we're being more mindful about money right now. He obviously agreed. Then Tom messaged my husband privately and said he expected us to help with the dinner bill since we didn't join the group gift. He said our €100 gift wasn't enough, brought up the fact that we had always participated before, including for his Formula One ticket, and said we were being jerks for not pitching in at all this time. I honestly don't understand it. I've never once complained about the gifts we got. I've always been thankful, but suddenly we're being labeled as the rude ones, just because we made a different choice this time based on our current situation. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. You can tell him that you are opting out of the tradition, and since you already had a birthday and didn't ask anyone to pay, that's the proof. I think, unfortunately, with many of these entitled greedy people, you need to spell it out. You should have opened a group chat for your husband and explained your situation, and said whatever you want to bring is fine, but we are opting out of these gifts for now and still look forward to celebrating with everyone. See you at our party. Subtle doesn't work on the clueless. 100%. If they hosted their own party and didn't expect anything from the group, it's wild for anyone to act entitled later. And to be honest, people forget generosity isn't a subscription service. Not the a-hole. Serving you with a bill after the fact, without informing you before the event that this would be expected, is not a fair, friendly move. If Tom wants to buy expensive Gucci bags to his girlfriend and plan 3K dinners, that's great. But he can't expect the same level of chipping in from everyone else. It's his girlfriend, not everyone's. If Tom was a good friend, he wouldn't have stepped on multiple boundaries and calling you jerks for not paying for his ideas. Exactly. It's wild how quick some people are to throw labels like jerks when you simply set financial boundaries. OP was more than generous, and expecting anything beyond that without upfront agreement is just entitled. Now for the updates. After reading all the comments here, we realized we might not have been as clear as we thought. So we decided to write a message in the group chat with all our friends. Hi guys. First of all, we love you all. Just wanted to say we're no longer participating in the group gift tradition. With our growing family and the new business, we're trying to be more mindful with money. We'll always celebrate you in our own way. Thanks for understanding. Everyone in the group were super supportive and said they understood completely. Everyone decided to just stop this tradition and go back to just celebrating each other's special day. Then, privately, one couple reached out to us and said they're currently going through IVF, which is super expensive, and have also felt uncomfortable with the pressure but didn't know how to say it. They were relieved we spoke up. Tom, on the other hand, texted my husband saying the message felt passive-aggressive and like we were throwing shade. His girlfriend messaged me saying we should have just said privately that we don't have the money and that now we've ruined the tradition for everyone. She doesn't know about the other couple. I told her, well, my birthday's coming up and I want a trip to Thailand for my whole family. No answer, obviously. It stirred things up a bit, but it also helped more people feel comfortable. So I think it was worth it. Second update, and it's a hilarious one. We've been trying to figure out who keeps logging into our TV streaming service. We live in Europe and the streaming service is to watch TV from our home country. We pay about €280 a year for it and can only use it on 2 devices at once. We kept being logged out of our living room TV. Turns out Tom was using it since my husband logged in at his house a year ago. Guess we're even LOL. Is this the same friend that was rude to your parents? Haha, I can't believe you made the connection, but yes. He apologized, sort of. They went on with their lives. And now this. He also ruined your wedding. Why do you still have him around? Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend to find his own place because he can't handle living in my art studio? I, 32 female, rent a converted warehouse loft in the arts district. When my previous roommate moved out 2 years ago, I took over the full lease because I'd always dreamed of having a proper studio space. The rent is steep, but I make it work through my art sales and the pottery classes I teach twice a week. My boyfriend, 29 male, moved in 8 months ago. He was spending a fortune on his downtown apartment, so when I offered to let him stay here for half what he was paying, he jumped at it. That's when the problem started. He immediately began complaining about everything. The kiln in the corner that I fire once a week, he says the smell is toxic, even though I have proper ventilation. The pottery wheels set up in the main living area. He thinks they make the place look unprofessional when his colleagues might visit. The paint splattered drop cloths, covering most of the floor. He wants me to roll them up every evening so we can have a normal living room. But the final straw came last month when he found out about my weekend workshops. I've been teaching small groups of 4 to 6 people basic ceramics on Saturdays for the past year. It's good money, and I love sharing the craft. When he realized strangers would be coming to our apartment regularly, he lost it. He demanded I find another venue because he doesn't want people tracking through his living space with muddy shoes. I explained this isn't just where I live. It's my workspace, my business, my artistic practice. I was doing all of this before he moved in. The whole reason I chose this place was because it's zoned for residential and commercial use. Last weekend, he actually hid in the bedroom during my workshop and then complained afterward about the noise and mess. He said that since he pays rent, he should have a say in how the space is used. That's when I snapped and told him maybe he should find somewhere else to live if he can't handle what this place actually is. Now he's giving me the silent treatment and acting like I'm being unreasonable. But I feel like he moved into my established life and workspace and is now trying to change everything about it. This loft was my dream space long before he arrived, and I worked hard to afford it on my own. Am I the a-hole for prioritizing my art practice and business over his comfort in what is technically my rental space? If he's been there for 8 months and you've been doing weekend workshops for the last year, how is he just finding out about it last month? I stopped doing them when he moved in to avoid conflict, but then recently started again because I need the income. Not the a-hole. He decided to move in with an artist and then is surprised and annoyed that you create art there. Compromises are needed when you move in with someone, but it doesn't seem like he wants compromise. He wants control. His concerns are legit, but the solution is he needs to get his own place to address them. The alternative is to go rent a separate art studio somewhere else, and that does not sound financially feasible. Your apartment is doing double duty as your office/workspace and home. You don't meddle in how or when he works in his office. It's unreasonable for him to expect you can't do your professional work in your own office without his input. Not the a-hole. He moved into your art space knowing what it was. Now he wants to change everything? It's your home, your work, your dream. He should respect that or move out. Thank you. That's exactly how I feel. He knew what he was signing up for when he moved in.